the pale blue dot.
Oh, please try some.
Oh, yes. Wait, thank you, sir.
No
so,
problem.
organic, what are we talking? Just good chai?
Good chai. So it's got ginger, cardamom, cloves.
Man, that's lovely.
Yeah?
That's really nice.
Is it?
Yeah.
And it's got sugar, but it's like jaggery.
Jaggery.
Yeah, so it's like natural sugar.
Yeah.
And you can like taste the difference. Like it's not that plastic kind of sugar you get.
Yeah, synthetic sugar. Yeah.
And it's like loaded with like spices and unhomogenized full cream organic milk.
Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, it's like, and I smash like a whole flask every day.
Yeah.
The day.
Very true.
Yeah.
Mate, that's a great way to start the show.
Is it?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Mate, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, mate, your hair is a lot better than mine. Mine's probably like there at the moment. But for everyone just listening to this, I strongly recommend you have a look at the video. Vijay's hair is like, what is that, waist almost? Or
Probably.
it's pretty close to waist.
Yeah.
How long have you been growing it for?
Like 4 years now.
Right, okay. I'm 2 years away from that, I think.
Okay.
Or 1.5. So, mate, so for everyone that doesn't know you, or just like a little introduction, who are you and what are you doing in Melbourne?
That's a big one. Who are you? But
yes, very true.
What I'm doing.
Yes.
So I'm doing a couple of things. Obviously, I've got my psytrance side. I produce and I DJ, and that takes up a lot of my time. I'll think about it a lot. And the other side is the flotation stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm known as the float guru, and I help people with anxiety, stress, fulfillment, finding balance through my programs, and that's using the flotation tank as our primary tool. And that's what I'm doing here. So it's pretty chilled.
It's awesome, mate. How did you come across floats?
Through Joe Rogan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was in New Zealand at the time, and one of my friends was like, "Oh, dude, like, so Joe Rogan podcast, like, have you heard of floating?" I was like, "No, what is it?" When he told me, I was like, "We have to do this." Like, there's two kinds of people I've noticed. One are like, "Oh, I don't know," and the other one, they just like, "Okay, we have to try this."
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So I was like, "Yep, let's try it." And just so happened that we met a couple of guys at the gym who were about to open a float center 5 minutes from where I live. And and those guys were trying to get into psychedelics, and we were trying to get into floating, like swap.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's
and I just got into it.
Yeah. And take us through, because I think I've spoken about floats a little bit on the podcast. Take us through kind of your first flotation experience and what happened. And well, I mean, were you open to? Had you been meditating already? Were you reflective? Yes.
And so it came to me at a really different stage in my life. So I'm an electrical engineer. I did that for 8 years as a professional, and I had like the whole corporate scene going for me, but I wasn't happy. So I was looking for something in my life. And at that time, I was also training a lot at the gym. So I broke my shoulder. I was looking for something, and then floating came into my life. I was like, okay, meditating, yoga, it's nice. Let me try this. And my first float was like really buzzy. So obviously, like it's your friends, they're like, okay, dude, like, blast myself, have a few buckies in the tank. He's like, it's gonna feel like 10 minutes, Vijay. I was like, really? He's like, it's gonna feel like 10 minutes? Honestly. I was like, okay, I'm ready for this. Go in, and in 10 minutes, the pump starts. I'm like, whoa, it actually felt like 10 minutes. Yeah. I didn't know where I went. I didn't know what I was doing. Gone. Super happy. I walk out, shower again, and he's like, Vijay, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, dude, it felt like 10 minutes. It's like, oh, dude, I forgot to turn the session on. Get back in.
Oh, that's hilarious. So, it was 10 minutes.
It was 10 minutes. And I was like, got back in, and it was whatever. The session was interesting, but I saw where it could go. I knew that this had the potential to do something. It was more like a feeling and a knowing than thinking about it. And instantly, I just quit my job. I didn't go back to engineering anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how old were you at that time?
I'm 32 now, so this is 4 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
And you're just like, this is so right. This is so for me.
Yeah, I was looking for something new, and that was like, this is it. I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was going to take me somewhere. But I had no clue that I was going to start coaching people and helping people transform their life or even explore nothing. It was just like a feeling, when you get it, you're like, I just know.
Yeah, there's like a call to arms almost. It's like an intuition, or it's like there is just something that I need to explore here.
Yes.
That I need to dedicate a lot of time to here.
Yes.
So all right, so you have that experience. That was your first float?
Yes.
Okay, that's incredible. And then take us through kind of like the next couple of months after that. You quit your job, and how do you begin working on what is now known as the Float Guru?
So obviously I come from a science background, so I knew that I needed a lot of information first. So I realized like, okay, I started mapping things down. So I would shave my full body and jump into the tank to see what happens, right? I would drink a lot of coffee and then go into the tank. Then I wouldn't eat and then go into the tank. I would eat a lot of food. And I started mapping down everything I could think of.
Wow.
No sleeping, go in. Wake up, first thing, not even shower, just go straight into the tank. I mean, shower in the tank or in the session, but not get ready at home.
Yes.
Because I was 5 minutes away. I would just wake up, sleep for 2 hours, and then I started researching my own being. I was like, okay, what is the optimum way to float? And I found like there's obviously I found a pattern, like, okay, for me, with this kind of diet, then afternoon floats are working amazing. I floated for 7 days in a row. 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, 4-hour floats, 40-minute floats. And I just started mapping all these things down. So that's how I fully got into it.
That's incredible. So in terms of like an optimum flow, well, maybe it's probably good to backtrack to some of our listeners at the moment. What is flotation? And then what are the kind of perceived benefits before we...
Okay.
Because I'm going to pick the shit out of your brain, man.
Yeah, go for it. So imagine, you can look up this tank. Usually a photo is nice. Otherwise, people would think about some experiment we're doing.
Yeah.
Basically, it's 500 kgs of salt, magnesium salt, in 10 inches of water. So it's not very deep. When you enter the tank, you realize when you lie down, you float automatically. Pretty much no gravity on you. And what we do is we set the temperature of the water to your skin. So after a while, your mind starts to ignore your body. It's like having your nose in front of you, but you ignore it. It's always there. Same way, the temperature difference is so small between your skin and the water surface and the air in the pod or the room that your mind ignores it. It's like erasing your body. Now you don't have a body and you're floating. Then when you turn the light off, there's no light, no sound, no taste, no smell, and no touch externally. And that sends your mind and your consciousness into a different state. And that's what we're working with here. Physically, you feel amazing because no gravity. Gravity takes a lot. For you to sit up straight or for you to do anything, you have to beat gravity first. So that part is freed up. And then mentally, there's no distraction. So if you think about it, we're constantly distracted day in, day out. But now in the tank, you've got your space. And in terms of your consciousness, that's some other ball game where it starts to expand and you can like start navigating into areas of your life and give it awareness. It starts to work with your subconscious where everything is built subconsciously, 95%, but you start bringing things into your awareness that you didn't know you knew. And you think it's an insight or creative ideas, but you already knew it. You didn't give it the time for it to come up into your conscious awareness. So all these things start to happen. But like anything, it's practice and it's consistency. And that's, in a nutshell, that's like how I look at floating. Yes, definitely.
And there are very clear physiological effects. Like you said, the no gravity thing would be sensational for our joints. But also I think peace of mind is really important with this sort of stuff. Like you're saying, an increase in awareness, being able to take an objective look at yourself and realize, that's why I responded like that. It wasn't because I was actually angry at my partner. It was just that guy cut me off the road 4 hours ago.
Yeah.
Little things like that can really help. Okay, so you're mapping consciousness almost to an extent, and you're starting to see different things that work well and different things that don't. In terms of like an optimal float, what do you mean by that?
So an optimal float is, first you have to realize that everything is a relationship. So depending on where you are in your life and depending on where you want to go, you slide the tank in there. That's what I mean by an optimal float. For example, if you're someone who is struggling with stress and anxiety, then you would have a pattern in which you float. For example, if you float every week, right? At a certain time of the day. Psychologically, you're like, I'm going for a float, so I'm going to be peaceful. Instantly something dawns over you, right? And then if you have to wake up early during the day and you get very less sleep at night, then maybe evening floats are good for you, right? If you're physically active, right, then maybe a night float is good for you. because that helps you sleep better at night. So you need to figure it out. That's basically what I do help people with as well. But you need to figure out where does it slot into your lifestyle. For me, once a week is amazing, and I usually float for 40 minutes or 1 hour, depending if I'm partying or not. If I'm partying, then I would go for a 90-minute float.
Right.
I get my sleep back instantly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I love that you just said, like, if you're partying, that's so good. People like almost shame themselves for partying. Be like, no, that's a fact of life. I'm going to party.
What?
It's ridiculous. Some
Yeah.
people do. Some people are like, oh, I shouldn't be partying. I shouldn't be drinking. I should be taking gear or whatever. But it's like, you're doing it.
Yeah.
You may as well get used to it.
Yeah. And I'm doing it sober. So I've taken a sober year now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because I love it so much that I was like, I'm going to take a sober year off, fully focus, and then smash it out for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Beautiful. That is awesome,
Yeah.
dude. I love that. Okay, so where do you see people typically putting the float in their lives? Like, are people more often than not, probably depends on kind of the different areas that you've lived in, but maybe for the Western world,
Yeah.
are people more or not struggling with anxiety and stress, or what are they looking for?
So right now there's a huge thing about floating as a relaxation experience, and we're trying to change that. Relaxation is a byproduct of the float. You can't just go in to relax in the tank, because it's when you consciously do it, it's very hard to relax, because now you're telling yourself, I need to relax, but you don't do it. So we're looking at it as a tool for, say, someone who's anxious, as that 1 hour where you can practice a few ideas and you can completely let go in that 1 hour, right? And for someone who's physical, using it that tool. So right now, from the relaxation world, we want to get it to as this is the pill that you've been looking for. That pill, if it was a pill, like I've heard other people talk about it, they're like, if it was a pill, you would take 3. 100% you would take 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where it is in the world right now. But there's a lot of research, clinical research going in. And so now it's picking traction. Now we're like gaining a lot of traction with firefighters, using for PTSD, and obviously with my work, helping people find balance and fulfillment. And there's this doctor in America, Justin Feinstein. He was here and he's done some amazing work for the whole float industry.
Really?
Yeah, clinical research, and it's like on point. So it's gaining traction as the tool or the pill for anxiety, depression, PTSD, and just in general understanding who you are. So it covers that whole range, rather than, oh, let me go for a float experience and relax for a bit.
Yeah, and I think a really good point, I mean, that's a great segue into kind of where I'd like to steer this next, is that you were talking about if it was a pill, people would just take 3 and be happy with that. But I think one of the detriments to just the convenience market, or the fad of convenience, is that it takes away the lesson. And the beautiful thing about flotation or meditation or sensory deprivation in general is that when the external world is silenced, you actually come to see, like we were talking about before, those objective patterns of behavior that you either consciously learnt or were unconsciously programmed to believe. Like you said, with things like trauma and things like that. So, you want to be real with float tanks as well, as that uncomfortable things can happen.
Yeah.
But it's about knowing that it's happening for you, not to you. Take us through an experience like that, like perhaps like not necessarily like an uncomfortable float, maybe like a challenging float.
Sure. So there's a Chinese saying, you should meditate half an hour a day, and if you're busy, you should meditate 1 hour a day.
Yep.
Okay?
Yes.
So right now I work with clients who are really busy, in the rat race, trying to be happy by making a lot of money. So that's like, Alan Watts talks about it, how it's like you're hungry, but you're sticking sandwiches to your body. That's what they're doing. And when you say, hey man, here, this is the tank that's going to help you find that inner happiness and peace, the first thing that the block is, oh my God, it's like you have to go 2 hours for a session. I can't take 2 hours from my busy day to go do it. That's like the first block. I'm like, what? But these 2 hours are going to last you for the whole week and you're going to feel amazing.
Yes.
So there's one of those experiences, right? And second thing is, I'm not doing anything for 1 hour in the tank. It's a big no-no in the current world. How can I not do anything for an hour? I would rather be sending emails, or I would rather be doing something externally. So that's another block. And we haven't even floated in the tank yet. Even before we get in the tank, it's like, oh, I could be wasting my time. I could be doing something productive. Because actions and being productive have been correlated in the current world. Whereas if you think about it, you're just taking two random things and put it together.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. So that's one block. And the second thing is people, once you're in the tank, people find it hard to chill with themselves. The mind chatter. And it's taking them to really different places they don't want to go. They don't want to face what's actually going on. I mean, that's because of lack of understanding that it's an abstract image you've created, but you can't tell them that at that point in time. So when they go in the tank, the sense of like, oh my God, I'm here by myself in darkness. But that is exactly the experience you need, which is going to unblock you. So that's another challenge we get. And there's little challenges like claustrophobic and all that, which is still fair. That's okay, I get that. But you not wanting to spend time with yourself, or thinking that you spending time with yourself is a waste of time, that is like something that needs to change.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think, you spoke about Alan Watts. Alan Watts changed every book I read of his just completely changed my perspective of life and myself, He's just brilliant. And you mentioned before, when you don't take time with yourself, you just think that all these things are what you're supposed to do. Freud spoke about that. He spoke that, the idea that we're inhabited by desires of everyone else. Sometimes it's very difficult to actually see what our desires are.
Yes.
And then that takes the Buddhist context of, well, to desire is to attach, and attachment is suffering.
Yes.
So the less attachments, the less desires, the less suffering. But, you got to think about, well, I'm living this life right now. I need to act, and I need to act in a way that's, virtuous. So I'm probably going to desire things, but it's about desiring the right things with a sense of social responsibility and things like that. How long does it take for people to come to a greater understanding or move away from that? Okay, I actually now see the importance of spending time with myself.
Okay. It depends on obviously person to person, but what I found is in about 6 weeks, there's a shift. And this shift is enough momentum for them to carry this forward. So that's the common factor. So obviously I'm working with a client for 8 weeks, but on that 6th week mark, 99% I find like this person is thinking differently now. This person is able to break their patterns, and they have some sort of an experience in their life, not only in the tank, outside the tank, but just clicks. And in that 6th week, they're like, oh, Vijay, I know, I get it. So the seed has like sprouted.
Yeah.
And that's all we're looking for. That's all we need. Because after that, they have enough momentum to make whatever they want out of it. But that initial breaking point takes about 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
For them to transform, which is much faster than most people. Because usually when I have a session, I send out a form. And I ask them like, how long do you think transformation actually takes place? How long does it happen? And I'll be surprised, like sometimes people say years. I'm like, wow, okay. It doesn't have to be years.
Yeah.
6 weeks until they make that shift.
6 weeks with roughly one float a week.
One float a week, yeah.
Right. And then
also other practices.
Yes. So what, what's your therapeutic technique when you're working with clients and things?
So firstly, you know how when you make anything, you pick the right ingredients? Same thing. I pick my clients. It has to be a right fit.
Nice.
That is the most important thing for me. So I can't go around helping everyone because most people don't need help. Most people don't know they need help. But the ones that I do, they're super ready to make a change. And that's the people I work with. So already my job is like a bit easier.
Yeah. That's good. It's a good shortcut, dude.
Yeah, it is like, and I pick my clients, and if I'm super honest, I'm like, hey, I can't help you because maybe your preconditioning is too much for me to work with. You're not open enough, or you don't need much help. This is what you need to do. You can do it. And they're like, okay with it. So that is the first thing, right? And then what I do is we see where they want to get to.
Yes.
And if that's not clear, we start defining it. Where do you want to go? Right? And through the program, it works in 2 different levels. One level is smashing it in this plane. As a human life, your career, your balance and all that. And then another level is the absolute level. You know, who are you? What is the nature of reality? What is consciousness? Once you play in these two levels, you're pretty much like unstoppable.
Yeah. What is consciousness to you?
Well, it's something that we can never know, because, you know, they say fire can't burn itself.
Yeah.
And knife can't cut itself. So you will never know, but I can only tell you what it's not. But I can share with you the properties of it. And from what I think, it's a relationship.
Okay.
Consciousness is a relationship between whatever's going on, all that can manifest, to all that has manifested. In that dot where these two meet, that is where consciousness is.
Like two sides of the same coin.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the sense, I mean, because it's a pulse, everything is a pulse, and everything moves up and down. It has three things. One is up, down, and the middle point, the node. And the node is the consciousness. Everything else derives from it.
There's a great Taoist saying, which is, those who know the Tao do not know the Tao. Those who don't know, no.
Yeah, that's also in the Upanishads.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Those who know God, they don't know God.
Yeah.
And well, that kind of makes sense. Because the moment you put it into what you know, it's not that anymore, is it?
That's right. That's exactly right. You've separated.
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah, you put it into your human terms, so it's not that anymore. That's why I call it that.
Yeah, just that.
Just that. Yeah.
I was having a conversation with a mate about this yesterday, actually, and we were talking about God, you know, and he was talking about how, you know, what we're talking about before the podcast, like there's just no need for it anymore in the modern world and all this sort of stuff, and that, you know, that very rational way of thinking makes total sense, like based on the sacrifices and the fundamentalist approach to God, we don't need that, you know. But in terms of the Hindu philosophy, the Eastern philosophy, you know, there's a really great understanding, you know, and that idea that how do you know something? The only way you know something is because you know what it's not.
Yes.
Exactly what you just said.
Yes.
You know, the only reason I know that kicking my foot into a brick hurts is because I know what that doesn't feel like.
Yes.
So you can keep moving around this kind of paradoxical lexicon and then reach this state where, well, if you can kind of separate yourself from the wheel.
Yes.
You know, even if you come to know that, then you're immediately back in the wheel.
Yes.
But it's very difficult. I think Alan Watts probably does the best at trying to explain that.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's I guess you can derive it. So people usually say, okay, in the Eastern world, it's like there's a huge gap within the God that we talk about, which is the creator, the big boss. Whereas the Eastern world, it's more like something that creates itself. Something that holds everything together for you to experience it. That is what they talk about. And that comes from something that is opposite of that, which you'll never know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that loop keeps going within itself. It's a fractal. It goes to infinity.
Yeah.
And that's why we can never know what that is. But we know that exists because everything comes from that. Everything emanates from that. It's the Shiva and the Shakti.
Yes, exactly. That's so true. It's kind of like glue.
Yes.
Isn't it? Yeah. And we do know, even by me saying right now that I know it means that I don't know it, so I'm aware of that. But we know that, just as a very basic level, we created language, things that separate things from their opposites. And we created that with our vibrational tones. Like we mumble and the word tree comes out.
Yes.
And now we don't even think of a tree anymore because that's just a tree, right? But it's just very fascinating. Anyway, we could probably move into a whole different world with this.
Yeah.
Tell me about how you became interested in consciousness and spirituality, and was it psychedelics?
Okay.
Was it questioning yourself? And
So there's some things that through my experience I know, and some that I'm still trying to figure out. So for example, my family that I was born in India, this came to me later. So it comes from a lineage of priests. Not my dad and mom, but the whole family comes from there. So there must be something to do with that. They've always been around mantras and stuff like that, but never really taken anything to note, never seriously. And then I moved to New Zealand, and I've always wanted to try and figure out the universe.
That's pretty basic, mate.
Yeah, I've always had this desire. Like I used to call it, I want to crack the universe, right? But only in terms of like quantum physics, and I was inquisitive, but nothing hit the spot. And then obviously my first psychedelic experience went at a psytrance party, and I took a tab of acid, and holy shit, like the party's about to finish, and it's like 6 a.m. and I actually missed a cricket match. Tendulkar was playing South Africa that day in the World Cup. I was like, I'm not going to come to this party. My mates were like, Vijay, you have to come. We're going to get wasted. It's going to be the best shit ever. Come here. And it's going to change your life. I'm like, dude, a party's not going to change my life. Trust me.
Tendulkar is going to change my life.
Yes, exactly. My number plate in New Zealand was Tendulkar.
Yeah.
Cricket's a religion, Tendulkar is God. That's what it says. So I was like, massive fan. These guys forced me to come to this party. And we took a couple. It didn't work. Nothing happened. I'm like, if this is tripping, this is shit.
Yeah. And
in the morning, now who's my best friend? I'm looking at him. I'm like, dude, like, what are you on? He's like, give me that. He's like, okay, here's a blue one. 6 o'clock. The trees like talking to me, the mountains are breathing. This is in New Zealand, so the nature is pristine.
Yes.
Right? And there's a sound system called the Opus. So the Opus is playing. My whole life revolves around the Opus now.
Right.
All I want to do is play my music on the Opus sound system.
Yeah.
I'm listening to this sound and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
And I look at these guys. The first thought is like, did you guys always know this reality existed? They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, since when do you know this reality exists? And they're like, oh, like, I don't know what you're saying, but I was obviously buzzing out at that point. So my approach was like, how come I didn't know that you could do this with your mind?
Yeah.
Or how come my senses are so enhanced? How come I can feel everything? And it's been, 9 years now, and I'm still chasing psytrance.
Yeah.
And so consciousness started for me like that. Then I started really looking into it.
It's crazy, isn't it? I've got this kind of theory as well that's kind of the world we live in before the ego really starts to form, you know, the land of the unconscious, all that sort of thing. And sometimes what's really unfortunate for people is that their first, lessons and open doorways into the rational world are very painful memories and things that has like kind of created this restricted box for them to live in, you know, like when, childhood abuse and things like that. And I wonder if we could kind of move into the world now where kind of like how psychedelics, meditation, floats help to unpack those layers to see that, and then how do we move through those?
Okay. So what's happening is like, it's a grand illusion that's taking place since the time you're born. You know, people keep telling you things and you start forming your own opinions and you start living in this life where, how I think about it is like, you're an apple tree and I'm a mango tree, but we all try and look like the same bench and we all try and look like the same tree. So what happens is there's a part of you that knows, and this is not agreeing with the part that you're doing consciously. And this builds up and creates a pressure within you. This is a discomfort you feel when you go do that job and you don't want to do it, and it's the life you live, and then it breaks, right? So when it breaks through extreme suffering, or what happens is in some people's lives, I don't know how it happens, but you get little cues here and there through psychedelics, or people being born into families that meditate, or you find like nowadays there's a huge awakening of meditation and yoga and all these different philosophies and like different techniques for you to see that illusion, just to separate. Once you separate your awareness from who you think you are, that's all it takes. And that's it. People don't have to go through this whole journey of like going into the past and healing yourself. I'm not a fan of that at all. The moment you think about the past and you give it energy, you've given it power to influence your present.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah. So I've always talked about this with my other friends, and they're like, no, but Vijay, you need to heal. I'm like, the moment you use the word heal, you mean something needs to be fixed.
Yes.
But all I have to do is realize that in my journey, if I'm able to think about doing this, then I'm already in the best possible place because I'm aware now. And if I take any experience out from my life, then I won't be here.
Wow. That really just blew my mind, man. That's really good.
Yeah. So you start from here, and now you can build anything, because you can't discount any experience, because the moment you shed light on an experience, that comes from that ego that you've developed at that point in time. Then you're giving it power, and then now it's going to influence your present and your future again. Yeah. So all you have to do is just notice your awareness and try and separate your awareness from your ego. And it sounds simple, but it's actually very simple. 40 minutes a day.
40 minutes a day.
40 minutes a day. Let your brain waves, because you're biological and people tend to resonate with this idea, let your brain waves settle. Right? As soon as your brain waves settle, you will see there's a slight gap. After 40 minutes, if you can just meditate, it doesn't matter what you do, just sit there for 40 minutes. And people are like, oh, Vijay, but I can't clear my head. That is not the point of meditation, right? You can't. If you can have a clear head for 5 minutes, you'll enlighten yourself. That's how hard it is. So just create that separation. And as soon as you feel that gap, enjoy it. You don't want to do anything else. Just live your day and slowly start opening that gap. And that's what I do with my programs as well. And once you open that gap and you can go to that awareness at will, that's it. You can't suffer anymore.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So there was a big move in the early 19th century with thanks, dude, with psychoanalysis.
Yes.
And psychoanalysis was very much about going down to the swamplands of the soul and bringing up those repressed memories, wishes, urges, and things. And that was the Freudian school. And then Carl Jung came along with analytical psychology, and he was talking about how that stuff's good to a degree, like similar with what you're talking about. But there was a specific quote when I was really into Jung and I was reading a lot of his stuff that made me think of what you just spoke about. And he said that oftentimes people get lost when they don't know where they're going. So when people don't know where they're going, their mind starts to work against itself and pick up all these things from the past that are in the past. They're in the past, you know, and whether or not they're still there doesn't necessarily mean that they're conflicting with, you know, how you want to live or whatever. And even just the awareness is good enough. But he said, the quote was, I'm going to butcher it, dude, but it was something like the water of the past kind of spills over the bank and into the present. And do you think that for people that are aware of how something has affected them in the past, that awareness alone is enough? And now it's about how do you kind of reprogram that and then move forward and on to the future? Yeah.
So the moment you project a reality in your past or your future, the vibe you have in that projection is based on how you feel today. For example, if I don't feel good, then and I project a reality saying I need to move to a new city, then that projection is going to be tense. I'll be like, oh my God, what am I going to do there? If I feel amazing today, I'll be like, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Right? So if you can find a way, for example, if you feel good today, when I look at my past event, I broke my shoulder 4 times in 1 year. Right? And I look at it and I'm like, wow, that was like really, it's the best experience ever in my life.
Yeah.
But if I still was in pain or if I wasn't feeling good today, then I would look at the same experience and be like, that is what ruined my life.
Yeah.
Right? So the key is to feel good today. And as a human, it doesn't take long to feel good today. It doesn't take long. All you have to do is like start off. Obviously, it depends where your consciousness is vibrating. All you do is start off saying, okay, I'm aware. The moment you're aware, that's it. You've done your job for the day.
Really?
Yeah, because see, I mean, I am awareness. If I'm aware of something, so for example, if it's a speaker, if it's a speaker's playing, it's happy. If it's a ball, if it's bouncing, it's happy. If you're aware, that's it, you're happy. Doesn't matter what you're aware of.
That makes sense. Yeah. And it's so true. It's, you know, we're not, you know, we're in this body. We're not this body.
Yes.
You know, we're the thing that operates inside this body. Well, then what operates inside this body? It's almost like an infinite regress.
Yes.
It comes back to what Ram Dass teaches, which is just loving awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So when you said before meditation, you actually didn't say meditation, but you said sitting for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Take us through kind of that process there, what you get people to do and what you do.
Okay. So before I used to coach people, it's hold their hands. Now I just advise. So now I say, you find it, whatever you want to do for 40 minutes. So that's more thought for them and more trial and error and more coming from within. Rather than giving them a prescription, it's like, you do it. People love that and people want that. I'm like, no, you find out. Right? So I'll tell you what I do. So I chant every day for 40 minutes. Wow. And that's my meditation. That's like a complete, it's so hectic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hectic.
Do you want to give us a crack?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah.
So this is a mantra. It's got 1001 names of Vishnu. So Vishnu is the energy that holds everything together. It's the substratum of the universe. So in Hindu mythology, there's Brahma who creates, Vishnu maintains. Atman is the supreme soul.
Yes.
So Brahma is the god that creates everything. So Brahma creates the day, Vishnu maintains the day, Shiva destroys the day. But at the same time, Brahma creates the night, Vishnu maintains the night, Shiva destroys the night. So these three work together. My whole family is from a lineage of Shiva, but for some reason I resonate with Vishnu. Yeah. Okay. And I chant 1001 names. Goes something like Om Shuklam Bharadharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantayet Vyasam Vashishthanaptaram Shaktat Totramatalmasham Parasharatmajam Bande Shukatatam Tapanidhim Vyasaya Vishnurupaya Vyasarupaya Vishnave Namo Vaidbrahmani Jaye Vashishtaya Namo Namaha Adhikaraya Shuddhaya Nityaya Paramatmane Sadaikarupa Rupaya Vishnave Sarvajishnave Yasya Smaranamatrena Janma Samsara Bandhanat Vimujyate Namastasme Vishnave Prabha Vishnave Om Namo Vishnave Prabha Vishnave Shri Vaishampaya Vacha. So this
That's
goes on.
Sick. We could have done like go again.
Yeah.
Go.
Shrutva dharmana seshena pavanani cha sarvashah yudhishthirashantanavam punarevapya bhashata yudhishthino vacha kimekam daivatam loke kimbapyekam parayanam stuvan.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You get a little thing going on.
Yeah, fully.
That's awesome.
So that goes for half an hour. And I'm completely blasted. I'm like in a different zone. And imagine this, right? So I'm chanting in Sanskrit, and there are certain languages in the universe that are, it's called cymatics, so perfect symmetry. So when you speak Sanskrit, Hebrew, Latin, these form perfect geometry in front of you when you speak it, right? And you can't speak these languages if you're not connected with your heart. So everything I say comes from here. And every language is connected to one element of the earth. So Sanskrit, the ancient languages, Arabic is one of them, they are connected to that. So you automatically tune yourself to that. It's crazy what it does. And obviously the exhalation and the inhalations are different. So I'm doing kind of like a breath work in it. And each word is unique. So my memory has gone like tenfold since I've started doing it in the last 4 years. Yeah, wow. I do now I can chant this through memory, and it's like pages and pages. Yeah.
Jesus.
And this is what I pin it down to. This is my routine where, I don't know, I haven't missed this in I don't know how long. I only missed it on purpose to see how much it's making an impact.
Oh, wow. How long did you miss it for?
So when I went to Vipassana, I didn't do it for 10 days, but obviously I was meditating, so that was different.
Yeah.
I only missed it for 1 day max.
Yeah, right. 1 day is like depression town.
1 day is too many decisions. I have to make way too many decisions that day. Everything is a decision. Okay, what do I want to eat? What do I want to wear? Okay, what kind of track everything is a decision. After this, I'm so aligned, everything just flows. It's just complete flow.
That's a really good point, dude. Like that point of doing this or not doing this and doing this. I mean, before you've even done anything, you're stressed out.
Exactly.
You know, that's probably the reason why people are so stressed.
Yes.
Because they're trying to make all these decisions that probably don't even matter.
Yes.
There's a quote that's, excellence is in the next 5 minutes.
Nice, I like it.
Just do what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Like right now, my decision is to give you undivided attention.
And likewise.
Exactly.
I'm here right now.
Exactly.
All I'm thinking about is us talking about this and chai.
Yeah, chai as well. You're thinking more about that chai, man. That's great. Okay, cool. So you moved from India to New Zealand.
India to America.
Oh, sorry, you went to America.
For 3 years in New Jersey. I hated it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Too busy?
I was too young.
Oh, right.
I was 9 and all I knew was Bollywood and cricket.
Fine.
Yeah, and my parents took me to this school in Newark, and I'm the youngest guy. I got double promotion, and I was locked up in these locker rooms and taking my lunch money, beaten up, these things, proper what you see in movies.
Bullied.
Yeah.
Really?
And the second year I figured it out. I'm okay, I know how to be cool now.
Yeah. How do you be cool?
So you have to say something to the teacher.
True. You don't play the bad boy.
Yeah, you have to for a little bit. and you have to get detention a couple of times.
True, you figured it out.
Yeah,
Totally
you don't wear uniforms.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And then I went back to India,
Mm-hmm.
and then I studied like 5 years there. And then my parents were like, okay, you need to go somewhere because it's a thing. You go overseas to study. And my cousins who lived in America at the time, my uncle and the whole family, they went to New Zealand straight. And I called him up, was like, hey man, how's New Zealand? He's like, dude, it's amazing, come. So I went there for kind of like a holiday, but I just stayed there for like 10 years.
Right, okay. And that's when I'm very interested in this process of, and it's almost trite because it's so cliche, but people saying like, this is the thing that allowed me to almost find myself, you know? And obviously life is a process of finding / becoming, or coming back to yourself probably, you know? But what was you said before it was that tab of acid that was that first kind of,
yes.
Oh wow, this is probably more meaningful than everything I've ever really done. Did you start to explore psychedelics a bit more, and then from that, have you found a place now where they're good entry points, but you can find that in your mantras and in your float tanks and things?
I have this thing against people asking me or telling me they haven't found their thing.
Yeah.
So how I look at it is, if you find something, which means it's existed already, which means it's not your thing because someone else made it.
So true. That's so true.
So you need to make your thing, right? And so I started making my own thing. So obviously the Float Guru is the thing I've made, knowing what I'm good at, what everyone needs, and I fill that gap, right? After my psychedelic experience, I got too much into it. I loved the music, and I started partying, going to festivals all over the world, just as partying. And I was still an engineer at the time, or I was doing my engineering job. It was just paying the bills, and weekend smash party. And yeah, dude, I'll show you photos of like, I used to look like 10 years older when I was 22 than now.
Yeah.
Right? Until 27, I kept that lifestyle going. And it was a complete mess. Everything I did was a mess. Nothing was going on in my life. Relationships were a mess, complete, everything. I was just like, a messy guy.
Yeah.
Right?
You're a messy guy.
Totally.
True.
Loose. And then the shoulder breaking, and then at the same time, my granddad passed away, and floating. All these things like completely swapped it around.
Yes.
And also I've had like super lucky with my family and my friends. Like my friends have like really put me on spot. They're like, Vijay, you need to like, look, you look sick. Especially one of my friends, Asim, he's in the UK now. He's like, dude, you look sick.
That's a great friend.
Yeah, and he's like, you need to sort this shit out. And I'm like, okay, sweet, what do I need to do? He's like, you need to change your lifestyle. I'm like, okay, sweet. He's the guy who told me about floating. He's the guy who told me about psytrance. And I've taken it and ran with it now.
Yeah. What a legend.
Yeah.
Man, that's a true friend, hey?
Yeah, I've got so many of these around. You know, like my other friend, I've known him since I was like 5. He was totally into scriptures, and he exactly knew my life. His name is Bharat, and he's like a vegetarian. I'm like, that's never happening. Boom, I turned vegetarian.
No shit.
He's like, you're gonna get into this, mantras. I'm like, that's not happening. I'm like, boom, instantly. I'm like, how do you know this shit?
Yeah.
He's always 2 years ahead of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've had like really good company around me that keep me in check. And then obviously I had this quality where I'm just like obsessed with things.
Yes.
So that helped me a lot. And from psychedelics, complete mess, to finding yoga, meditation and floating, and then really putting the work in.
Yeah.
Really like completely going with the feel. And obviously some other experiences like self-realization in this party in Switzerland. Completely saw the whole fabric of reality.
Really?
Never been the same ever since.
What do you mean?
Like, obviously I was buzzing at the time, few pills, few trips down, and I hit like this massive nang. Oh dude, like completely snapped out of my body, and I saw like I am everything.
Yeah.
I can't even explain it. Like, I can explain most of the things, but basically I saw how every thought and every vibe that I project out is mirroring itself in every other form that it possibly can. And that I am every single thing out there, just in a different space and time coordinate. And then I lost interest in life.
Oh, wow, really?
I was like, I am everything. What do you want me to do?
Yes. That's solipsism.
Okay.
That's kind of that idea.
Kind of, yeah. That everyone's a projection of my dream.
Yeah. But, you know, I was studying this to try to figure this out, because I went kind of through a similar process of, you know, my ego attached itself to wanted to be a football player.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'm not an NFL player because I wasn't good enough. And I was like, okay, well, CrossFit. And then I was like, I'm still an athlete. And then my knee hurt, and then my partner and I, we went and traveled overseas. And my ego was being ripped apart from this identity of competitive athlete.
Wow.
And that's when I started reading Jung. So I was analysing my dreams and things, and I found this place where I went so far inward that I wasn't attached to anything. And then I went into that world where I was like, oh, well, if I am one with everything, everything is just me.
Yes.
So what the fuck is the point of everything?
Exactly.
And I became very scared.
Yes.
You know?
Me too.
How did you come out of that?
I just called my mate Bharat.
I should have called him.
So I was partying and I was having the best time. And I was in Switzerland, but my accommodation was in France because it was too expensive in Switzerland. So I took a 40-minute train, go back to my room, and call my friend. I'm like, dude, this just happened to me. I don't know what happened. So most of the stuff I talk about is experience first and then look into the scriptures. So that kind of worked for me at that. I'm like, do you know something about this? Like, holy shit, Vijay, you're so lucky. I'm like, why? He's like, you hit self-realization. I was like, okay. He's like, people spend their whole life trying to get to this spot. I was like, what do I do now? He's like, you have to help others get there. I was like, really? He's like, yep, do it. And then the Float Guru stuff really took off.
Yes.
To help other people see that they are everything and there's nothing to worry about. And, there's nothing for you to go and get in life because this is it right now.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the whole journey.
And that's the idea behind the bodhisattvas.
Yes.
Is that they move away from nirvana because there's still work to be done here.
Yes, 100%.
How do you find... So you create, in that regard, you create your own purpose because you see that who you truly are can be used as a tool to provide a niche to people that are suffering in a specific way.
I don't look at it in that serious aspect at all.
Okay.
So there is no purpose.
Cool.
Because you're a human, you play, it's like playing an instrument or playing a game.
Yeah.
And that's all I do. So I see it's a grand illusion. And so today I want to be the Float Guru. I like this guy. It's a nice character I want to play. Okay, let's play this. And tomorrow night I'm going to be cymatic. I'm going to go smash at a psytrance party. I want to do that. And then tomorrow I'm like this son. Tomorrow I'm this Vijay friend guy. So everything is just like so light.
Yes.
When I help people, then obviously it makes me feel good. Everything. See, why do you do everything you do?
Well, it makes me feel good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to the self. It's not a selfish idea. It's the fundamental thing that drives the universe. So I look at it in a very light aspect, like, oh, okay, let's do this for a few years and then see what comes up. And that's what I've evolved that into. Because if I use it as a purpose, then it becomes serious. Alan Watt talks about it. Is like, don't make it serious, but be sincere.
Yeah.
And especially the work I'm doing, then if I get attached to my client, I'm attached to my results though. I want to get results for my clients, but I don't take it seriously.
Yes.
For example, I'm like, yeah, I'll be there at 10:15ish.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I'll be there at 10:30.
Dude, you were on time today.
Yeah.
What were you? Yeah, you were like spot on time today,
That's
man.
good. So that's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Because I was
Stop
like,
taking it too seriously, man.
yeah, I know. I should check
should be
myself.
late.
Yeah, go for a float.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, there is no purpose, but that idea that I have no purpose gives me the freedom to do whatever.
Yes.
And really make an impact.
That's so true.
Otherwise, it's too much pressure on me to find this thing, and just the act of you trying to find it is the one that's pushing it away.
Yeah, that's so true. And I feel like I'm just dropping books here. It's embarrassing, but there's a a book I really like called Mastery by George Leonard, and he was trying to analyze all these incredible intellects, sportsmen and women, philanthropists, philosophers. Like what makes you tick? How you can't just get out of bed every morning with motivation alone. Like what is it? And he looked at Larry Bird. Larry Bird was a professional NBA player who was practicing non-stop 2 hours a day by the age of 4. Bill Gates, by the time he was 13, had clocked up 10,000 computer programming hours. Just crazy. And he came to the realization that practice isn't something you do, it's something that you are.
Yes.
So who you are and what you're saying, what I'm taking from it, is that you can be anyone.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
And if you can do whatever you want, you may as well do stuff that makes you happy.
Yes.
For sure. So tell us about some of the float tank software is probably not the right word, but some of the stuff you're doing with float tanks specifically.
Okay. Personally or for my clients?
For your clients.
Okay, so first...
And then personally too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and don't be late.
So the idea is using the tank as a tool, like I spoke about. So I've got this technique where I take them through a whole yogic process, right? And at the end of the session, I want them to have ticked a few boxes. So first would be, obviously I have to set their lifestyle, and then body positions. What is the ideal way to float depending on your body and depending on where's your pain. Most people, it's like mind, body, spirit connection. If you have this kind of a thought process, then this part of your body is probably hurting. And we work backwards, and then there's a little bit of breath work, 27 to 1 breathing, because 27 is a yogic number. It's a multiple of 108. And I've realized it's not long enough for you to lose focus, and not too short as well. It gets you into that state. And then withdrawing your senses, so pratyahara. So I'm deriving all this from the eightfold path of yoga. And once you slowly do that, you listen to the sounds and all that. And then what I do is I have a series of, say for example, you're not able to let go of your experience in the past. Then what I ask you to do in the tank is visualization is the really big one. So the first few sessions is just really honing visualization, learning how to actually do it, not just seeing yourself, but living it.
Yeah.
And for that, you need to enter a different state of consciousness every day. Your diet has to change, your practices have to change, everything about you has to change so you can visualize clearly. So the first few weeks we do that. After that, we start playing with this visualization, right? For example, this seems to work where you put all the negative emotions into this massive ball, and this ball keeps going bigger and bigger, and you send it off in the universe, right? Most people try it without having the skill to visualize. If you really know how to visualize properly, and if I can visualize something this clear, then in quantum physics and in yoga it says it's happened.
Yeah.
Well, obviously it's happening.
Yeah.
So once it's ready, then we start playing with like designing your perfect day. Have you ever imagined your perfect day?
I actually do that every day.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Most people don't.
Yeah.
And they wonder why their life is in a shithole. Well, because you haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
Right? You're not using your thought. See, imagination gone negative is worry. So you've shifted into the positive.
That's sick.
Yeah. And you start building this life. So these are the kind of things we do and then from that zone, we start tapping into your awareness. What is that you're aware of in the tank? And over time, you see that these skills start to develop into this monster where you can just take it and like use it anywhere in your life. That's what I do with my clients. So I've got like a list of techniques that I've come up with, and some of them I've derived from yoga, some of them from other ancient techniques, and some of them like modern techniques, But its main focus is just not to look at it just like 1 hour in the tank, but support your life based on that. That's the whole idea.
Integrate the lessons.
Integrate, that's exactly the word.
Yeah.
Integrate, because that is the last part of the float tank that most people don't do.
Yeah.
They leave the experience in the tank.
Yeah.
Right? No, you take it with you. It's like a psychedelic experience.
Yeah.
You bring it back, and then you run your life using it till you see me next week again.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
Right?
Yes. One of the greatest teachings I ever received was meditating on MDMA, and it just taught me, it gave me this perspective of how much I really could love other people and love myself.
Yes.
And I was obviously having the downloads and the trips and things, and I was just seeing like how much love I am capable of, and we're all capable of, if we're not in its polar opposite of fear or apathy, depending on which way you look at it. But I really, really tried. That was probably the best lesson, I've been taught in the past 5 years. And it's I think integration is almost more important than the download itself.
Exactly.
Because it's like, all right, because I think most people they know you don't have to go a float tanker trip and whatever. It's just like, okay, I probably shouldn't be eating the 50th cookie for the day.
Yes.
It's like, but how do you actually switch that and not do it?
Yes.
Like, do you have some practical advice?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So most of our life is just the story we've told ourselves, Say, for example, I'm the awareness, and I was like, okay, I don't want to be the engineer guy anymore. I want to be this float guru guy. So what would the float guru actually look like? What would he wear? What would he act like? I'm going to do those things, right? So when it comes to the point for me to wake up and practice my yoga and meditation, what really determines that is the desire. How badly am I wanting that? How much do I enjoy playing that role? Right? So first you have a desire. So like you said, I call it the 7 steps to smash. So these 7 steps you need to work in your own way to change anything in your life. So first is desire. You have to desire to have a healthy body first. If that desire is whatever, you're going to eat that 40th cookie. If you don't really have a desire, you're going to eat the 50th one.
Yeah.
That's what separates people. Once you have the desire as your well-being and you want to be the best version of yourself or the greatest version, climb that mountain and defend it like hell for the rest of your life. The first is desire. Second is knowledge. To know that the cookie is bad for you.
Yeah.
Otherwise you would never know. So if your desire is well-being and you're like, I don't know if this 50th I should eat it, then the first question is like, okay, let me find out if it's good or bad to eat 50. Right? Knowledge, the right knowledge. And then most people just stop there. They have the desire and they have the knowledge. Third one is act. Then you act on not eating that cookie.
Yeah.
Right? Till then nothing's going to change. But then after that, the next day you again back to 49. Then what do? Consistency. Fourth one, you have to consistently do that. That's how you change the programming. That's how you subconsciously become a new person, by consistently doing it. And there's a trick to this. So it's like when you zoom into consistency, it's not just keeping it there. It's consistently improving.
Yep.
It needs to go up.
Yep.
Kaizen, the Japanese word for constantly improving. So that's the fourth one. And the fifth one is, most people don't do this, is non-attachment. You don't really care if you eat that or not. Then that's when you have the freedom to not eat it.
Yes. Yes, very true.
Yeah, otherwise you're too much under pressure.
Yeah.
And not eating it is like worse than eating it for you, because there's a huge resistance within you. And the last one is the sixth one is, it's called Leela. What is the attitude to do this work in? Would you take it seriously and do it, or would you play with it?
Play with it.
Yeah, just play with it. Just be like, no, I don't want to eat this cookie, it's fine.
Yeah.
Just play. Everything is play. And the seventh one is, you hire me.
Very true. Very true. After all that. Oh, dude, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm definitely going to take you out for a coffee. I'm definitely going to get you back on the show.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? And bring us up to speed.
So I've got a website, thefloatguru.net.
Nice.
And you can get in touch with me there. And I'm partners with Gravity and Beyond Rest. So you might randomly find me. I go to each float center. I haven't been to Gravity for a long time. I need to make a trip. But I'm usually busy with clients in Beyond Rest. So you can find me there depending on what day it is. But the easiest way, I also got social media. So
Okay.
I might be the float guru, but I'm still doing the normal stuff.
Yeah. Taking selfies of your cat. And
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
And so you can find me there. And that's the easiest way to get in touch with me.
Beautiful. Man, thank you so much. That
No
was
problem.
legendary.
No
That was
problem.
awesome.
I had an amazing time. And your space is so good.
Yeah.
So, but I have a few questions for you. What exactly do you guys do here?
Yeah, well, so I'm a counsellor.
Cool.
And I kind of work with men specifically, but it doesn't just have to be men. It's just kind of who I market it to. But my other half, Siobhan, she's a breathwork facilitator. So we come into this space and we take people through breathwork healing. So a lot of the stuff that is stored in the body when you make that connection with the body, the implicit memories, the limiting beliefs that occurred from a fear-inducing experience come up through the breath, and we try to create an environment where people feel like they can actually go into those murky waters and explore that aspect of the self, the shadow, if you want to call it that. And we just create an experience that is really fun. People that want more out of life, people that want to be better, and are taking on the humility to do so. So it's starting, and it's really exciting.
That's awesome.
So, we'll have to get you down for a session.
Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to come check it out.
Yeah, it's really good fun. So there's a lot of tears, a lot of laughs, a lot of screaming going on in here.
Yeah. I've done a session in actually the Psytrance Festival.
Oh yeah.
And everyone was going completely berserk.
Yeah.
And then the faces were like glowing after that, and they were just like so yeah, it's like they're a new person.
Totally, dude. You just let go of a whole lot of shit that's
Yeah,
been
100%.
you've been holding on to for decades for some
I was
people.
actually like, am I doing it wrong, or is there nothing coming out of it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's another really good point. It's like sometimes people have an incredible experience and like, did I do that right? I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I fucking killed it, man.
Yeah.
It's just like, it doesn't matter what happens. Like in Beyond Rest, expect nothing.
Yes, expect nothing. That's so good.
You know, then there's no desire, there's no loss. It's
Yes,
good.
exactly.
Guys,
Nice one.
thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
Peace.
Amazing.